Hey, welcome back to that God Power channel. This is the channel where we're going to unlock the God Power that's laying dormant on the inside of you. But first today, what we're going to do is keep on breaking down the book of Genesis. Last time we broke down the chapter 7. So today, naturally, we're going to break down chapter 8. And in chapter 7, we saw how the floods came on the earth and how violently the rain came down for 40 days and 40 nights. Now, on chapter 8 here, this is when the floodwaters start to recede. So we get to hear that story, and we get to actually see how long the flood stayed on the earth for. It's actually a really long time. So with no further ado, let's jump into chapter 8 and let's get it. So the first verse starts off with, "But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock with him in the boat. He sent a wind to blow across the earth, and the floodwaters began to recede. The underground waters stopped flowing, and the torrential rains from the sky were stopped." So listen, the underground waters, the geysers and springs or whatever, these things were going for 40 days and for 40 nights too. It's not just the rain. So the floodwaters gradually receded from the earth. After 150 days, exactly 5 months from the time the flood began, the boat came to a rest on a mountains of Ararat. 2.5 months later, the waters continued to go down. Other mountain peaks began to be visible. So 5 months, 5 months from the time when the water started. So the water rained for 40 days and 40 nights plus gushing. That's 1 month. Let's just say that's one whole month worth of rain. Let's just call it a month. We're gonna, round it down. So then 4 more months after that, the waters sat up there above the mountaintops. 4, 5, 6, 7 months, 7.5 months later, then you get to see the other peaks of the mountaintops. Bruh, see how crazy the flood was? After another 40 days, so another month and 10 days, so this is 8 months now, Noah opened up the window and he made in the boat, and he released a raven. The bird flew back and forth until the floodwaters on the earth had dried up. He also released a dove to see if the water had receded and if it could find some dry ground. But the dove could not find a place to land because the water was still covered with ground. So it returned to the boat, and Noah held out his hand and drew the dove back inside. He was like, "Hey, come back, little bird." Noah, after waiting another 7 days, Noah released the dove again. And this time the dove returned to him with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. Then Noah knew that the floodwaters were almost gone. So he was using the bird to see if the waters were gone. Basically, if the bird could go find like foliage, grass and stuff, then he knows that the waters have gone down low enough to where it's safe. So this time the bird came back with an olive leaf. So that means, hey man, the flood's almost gone if there's olive leaves. Olive trees or don't get that big, you dig? So then he waited another 7 days. He released the dove, and this time it didn't even come back. That was his sign, like, all right, this dove is sufficient out there, finding a place to live. That means the waters are good. Noah was 601 years old on the first day of the new year, 10.5 months after the flood began. So remember, Noah was 600 when the flood waters began, if I can remember correctly from the last one. These floodwaters have been up here for a year, bro. It's 601 years old now. Noah lifted back the covering of the boat, and he saw that the surface of the ground was drying. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. They were on the boat for like a year, bro. Even though it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, they were just floating on the boat for like a year because the waters hadn't gone down. They said 7 months, 8 months, like 10 months. My goodness, one whole year at least worth of floating. So this is like, imagine being on a boat, like on a cruise ship out to sea. Oh my gosh, for a year, bro. That's wild. Anyways, then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you, and your wives, and sons, and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds, livestock, the small animals that scurry along the ground, so that it can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah and his sons and their wives left the boat, and all the large and small animals and the birds and all the small things that crawl on the ground came out of the boat pair by pair. So just the same way they entered, they came out. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed burnt offerings, the animals that, or animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice, and he said to himself, I will never again curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent towards evil from their childhood. I will never destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer, winter, day and night. As long as the earth remains. So if the earth doesn't remain no more, that stuff's out the window. So he didn't say that I'm never going to destroy the earth and get it out of here. He did say, I'm never going to, what did he say? I'll never curse the ground because of the human race again. I'm never going to destroy all living things because of human. So he didn't say he can't get the rock right on up out of here. He could do that tomorrow. After you've seen such a great flood, Noah and his family, the righteous ones, now have the opportunity to repopulate the earth with their ideals, right? So now the righteousness, in theory, should go forward, right? But that is the end of chapter 8. It's just about how the water started coming down. Now we're going to see in chapter 9 what happens after the waters come down. And remember, Noah is now off the boat, and his family is off the boat. So what happens next? What kind of things are they going to discover in this land that they're in now? Like, they're way high up on the mountains in the boat. Where do they end up when they get off? So we'll see that in the next chapter. Hopefully you learned something today. Hopefully you enjoyed this breakdown of the book of Genesis. But more important than all my hopefuls, I hope that you know that you got that God power. Tugging on your heart, tugging on your heart, tugging on your... Get them.